All right, good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidgoldd, as you all know. And I welcome to Query Down Television station where we give on a back-to-back as the hot. Still on these issues in court. And once again, before we go into that, I want to say very big congratulations to Dangote for the conclusions of his refinery. And Buhari don't go commission this refinery, as you all know, being the president of Nigeria. But now the question is, are we sure this refinery will not be a channel of siphoning Nigerian currency, Nigerian resources, as we all know as country, just the way we know how the country they be? Hope this refinery will not bring issue to this country. Hope this refinery will not be another channel for borrowing billions.
So President Muhammadu Buhari is commissioning the Dangote refinery in Nigeria, in Ibeju-Lekki, Lagos, Nigeria. Many people are calling for celebrations. In fact, they are calling it a milestone in Nigeria's development, and that it calls for celebrations. On the surface, it might look like indeed Nigerians should be celebrating the Dangote refineries. But if you look in a little harder, go into a little more details, you dive in deeper into the Dangote refineries itself, you'll find out that there is cause to worry. There's cause for alarm. In fact, I can identify 3 reasons why Nigerians should be worried about the commissioning of Dangote refineries. Number 1, if you look at the refineries, look at the pictures. Yes, massive investment over massive lands. You find out that 70% of the materials needed for the construction of the Dangote refineries, 70% is made of steel. And these steel are imported for the construction of these Dangote refineries. Remember that Nigeria has 2 steel manufacturing plants. We have the Ajaokuta Steel, and then we have the Delta Steel or the Alaja Steel Company. Both of them are currently non-operational. Now, we are spending 19 billion US dollars on the construction of these Dangote refineries. $19 billion. 50% of this investment goes into the procurement of the steel materials that are needed to construct these refineries. Yes, it's a massive refinery. 650 barrels per day refining capacity. It's regarded as the single largest refinery in the world. Not largest, single tram or single unit or whatever they call it. There are bigger refineries that do 1.1, 1.2 trillion million barrels refining capacities per day in India, in Texas and all that. But for a single unit, the Dangote refineries is regarded as the largest in the world. All right, but that's where it ends. Looking further, you'll see that 70% of the materials that are needed is steel based, which means that half of that money that was spent, 19 billion US dollars, almost 10 billion US dollars, is spent on procuring these steel materials. This money goes to put pressure on our foreign reserves, and then it also goes to shipping our steel jobs out to other countries like China and India, America, the UK, and all that, from where we source this steel. So if you look at it, rather than celebrating that $10 billion that is spent on procuring the steel materials that are used for the construction of the Dangote refineries, could have been invested. We don't even need up to half of it. 1 billion, 2 billion could have been invested to activate Ajaokuta Steel, to activate Alaja Steel, and then get them running to produce all the steel requirement for the construction of this refinery. And in addition to that, in addition to producing locally the steel that is needed to construct the Dangote refinery, we will also have steel to export to African countries, to other countries as a matter of fact, and then we'll be earning foreign exchange. So rather than spending the $19 billion on constructing the Dangote refineries, while having our own steel manufacturing companies moribund and putting pressure on our foreign exchange, resulting in the devaluation of our naira, without earning foreign exchange, we could have spent less than half of that 19 billion US dollars in the resuscitation or reactivation of our own Ajaokuta Steel and Alaja Steel Company in Delta State. And then we would actually be generating more jobs than we can ever generate with the Dangote refineries alone. That's why when people look at it and they are celebrating it, they are looking at it myopically. And I don't blame them, because there seems to be this collaboration between the media, the elite, and the government officials to deliberately misinform or deflect the attention of Nigerians to the fact that the Dangote refinery commissioning is actually a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing if you look at it in the short term. But if you look at it holistically, you see that it's not actually a good thing. It could have been something that is way, way better. Because the amount of resources, the portion of the $19 billion that was used to construct this refinery could have been spent to activate Ajaokuta Steel, to activate Alaja Steel, and that would have created more jobs. And in addition to producing the steel that is required for constructing this refinery, we could have also produced the steel that we could use for other refineries as well, which will bring the cost of our refinery construction down. And also, it will help us to produce the steel that we need for construction of other things like ammunition, which will also bring the cost of our investment in security down. It will also help to produce the steel that we need for construction of road, even the bitumen that we need for construction of road. It would have brought it down if we had made that investment into activating our steel company. You see, even agriculture, refineries, power, all of these things, the materials that are required for the investment that is made in these sectors are mostly steel-based. So if we had done the investment in Ajaokuta Steel, in Alaja Steel, we would have not just produced the steel that we need to construct the Dangote refineries, we would have also been able to generate or manufacture or create the steel that we need to construct our rail, which means we won't need to borrow $7.5 billion from China to construct 3 railway lines. We would have been able to construct our own tractors and farm machines, which means that the investment that we make in agriculture would have been greatly reduced, which means that we would have been able to produce all the steel that we need to manufacture our security equipment, our cars, so that our police and our security, our military can be better equipped. This could have been achieved if we had done that investment in our steel company. But no, somehow, because of the connivance of the media, the government officials, and the business elite, that was not done. Of course, to the favor of the foreign partners, the foreign countries like China, to the favor of the foreign countries like Britain, like the United States, to their favor, it was done so that they can continue to pally with them, extract our raw materials and send to them at next to nothing prices, and then we'll import the refined steel products at very exorbitant prices, devaluing our naira because it puts pressure on our foreign exchange. And then at the end of the day, shipping our jobs, the jobs of our unemployed youth, out to those countries. And then in return, we get a Dangote refinery that was constructed at a whopping sum of $19 billion. And we should be celebrating. This is an investment that should have come after we have done the investment in reactivation of our steel companies in Ajaokuta and in Alaja. So this is one of the reasons why we should not be celebrating. Another reason is that the fact that it was generated or built with steel that is imported from outside means that when it comes time for maintenance, whether turnaround or routine maintenance, it means that when we need all this equipment, we will still need to place order for them. They will still need to come from abroad. And then, of course, the pressure on our naira will continue, and that will lead to a continuous devaluation. That's number 2. Number 3 is the fact that this Dangote refinery is, if you look at it more deeply, responsible for, first, the subsidy payments in a way, if you look at it, and then it's now responsible for the mad rush to the removal of fuel subsidy. Removal of fuel subsidy in the way or in the manner in which the government is pursuing it right now is simply to increase the price of the pump price of fuel. That's the removal as the government sees it right now. To remove the price of to increase the pump price of fuel. And the intention is that if the subsidy is removed, then the price can be increased to about 750 naira per liter of fuel. Then Dangote refineries will now be refining locally, will still be buying the crude with dollar, and then refining and selling to Nigerians at the new rate, thereby helping Dangote to maximize his profit. And of course, when Dangote maximizes his profit, all the big political figures that are hiding behind the scenes and using Dangote as a front will also maximize their own profits as well. So this is one reason. Another reason, for me, the most crucial reasons why Nigerians should be aware that rather than celebrating these Dangote refineries, they should actually worry. Because contrary to what the analysts are saying, and if you look at the analysts, they seem to have been bought over, or they seem to be on the payroll of these Dangote and Otedola people. They seem to be on their payroll because they seem to always talk about the refinery without talking about what could have been a better investment. They seem to be making the case for Dangote refinery to increase prices or to remove subsidies so that Dangote refinery can increase prices and maximize their profit. And of course, they get paid. So what do they care whether Nigerians suffer? Another thing is the fact that these Dangote refineries, for me, if you look at it, is one of the sole reasons why our government refineries are not working. It will look to me that the government refineries are deliberately being sabotaged so that the political power, the big government forces that are benefiting from the corruption therein will now switch their earnings to Dangote, through which they can collect their kickbacks, or they can collect their monies behind the scene. That's my assessment of it. It's my opinion, of course, and you are welcome to dispute it. But the truth of the matter is that our refineries are said to not be working, and then government is using our money. Imagine NNPC contributed $3 billion to Dangote refineries, and then we say our refineries are not working. All four of them, from Port Harcourt to Warri to Kaduna, none of the refineries are working, despite spending over $4.5 billion under this Muhammadu Buhari's regime for turnaround maintenance. You see, if we have our steel industry working, then you will see that $4.5 billion that was spent on the turnaround maintenance of these four refineries could have been better spent on doing what? Activating our steel company, producing the steel that we need, and then the cost of our turnaround maintenance will be cheaper. So it's a very serious web of corruption that is designed to continually make the Nigerian people impoverished, and at the end benefit the colonial powers. Colonial powers meaning representing the cabals within these foreign countries that are benefiting from this impoverished underdevelopment of Nigeria and indeed Africa. So with these three reasons, you will see that Nigerians should actually worry. Nigerians should actually worry about the commissioning of the Dangote refineries. This is, of course, my views. You are welcome to let us know yours in the comment section below. But I want to ask, so what is the way forward? The way forward is simple. Let us focus, go back to the drawing board, rather than spend so much money on all of this importation of steel to construct refineries, which actually increases the cost of building the refineries and resulting in the shipment of Nigerian jobs outside to countries like China and UK and US and India, What we could do is invest this money in reactivation of Ajaokuta Steel, of Alaja Steel, and the Nigerian economy will just boom. Because everything that you need to develop a country is dependent on steel. Our ICT sector development will depend on this steel, because the microchip and some of the other things, minerals, the refined minerals that you will need to produce batteries and other things, they're dependent on steel and its ability to refine iron ore and the rest. So you see, this is at the heart of it. Whether you're talking about investment in medical, health, they all boil down to steel. You're talking about investment in education. The reason why our university graduates are not having jobs, are not having companies where they can practicalize their skill or knowledge, is because that the steel industry is not working. If you're talking about roads, the bitumen you need for construction of road comes from steel. If you're talking about, comes from refining, and that would have been better activated if we had a steel company that is working, that will help in building low-cost refineries, that will help in producing more bitumen. So whether you're talking about agriculture, the tractors that you use and the implement, they are all steel-based. If you're talking about security, in America today, a policeman is able to have one car to himself, or at the max, two policemen to one car, because the cars are produced locally in their countries, and they can afford to use ways and means to fund it, thereby boosting the economy. So if we had our steel industry working, it means that we would have been able to produce our cars locally, which will help the government to be able to provide more and adequate vehicles for our security people. We need to activate our steel. If not, these dangote refineries will keep shipping our jobs out, and by the time they succeed in removing the fuel subsidy, the cost of living for Nigerians will go up, because the price per liter of fuel will go up. To go up. So we need to activate Ajaokuta Steel. Right now, they don't want it to run because they are waiting to sell it to private individuals before they activate it. Look, our refineries are working, if you ask me. I think they're just deliberately being sabotaged so they can sell it to individual in the name that government cannot operate these things. It's a lie. A lot of the skilled hands that operate those refineries under government employment can activate and make these refineries work if the top government officials allow it. The same thing goes for the Ajaokuta Steel. They want to sell it to their friends so that they can control what goes on in the market. They are talking about free market, market forces determining market prices. It's not true. Look at what has happened with cement. Dangote solely is responsible for the determination of the price of cement. No market forces anywhere. The same thing will happen if we allow this to go on and allow Dangote refinery to have a monopoly kind of this refining sector, as we have seen him do in other sectors. Nigerians, we need to wake up. We need to consciously make actions and demand that rather than make this huge investment, we should activate our Ajaokuta Steel, Alaja Steel, so that we can produce the steel that we need for our industrialization, so that jobs can come to Nigeria. Look, everything Nigeria makes goes out almost immediately. We make so much money from selling oil, from selling our raw mineral resources, but the money we make almost immediately goes out because we spend them on schooling our children abroad, we spend them on getting healthcare abroad, we spend them on buying phones from other countries, from buying cars, everything. The steel that we need to build houses, we get most of them from other countries. The bitumen we need to making roads, we get most of them from other countries. The equipment and all that for farms, for construction of roads, for construction of refineries, everything comes from abroad. So that way, the money we make goes out immediately. But we can stop this if we reactivate Ajaokuta Steel and reactivate Alaja Steel. And we can do this without necessarily spending much more money than we have. Once we do this, then all this can stop. Government can run it. It's just the will that we need. So, and there are things that will make the will possible. We can't keep looking at these government officials. We need to take certain actions, certain steps that will help us determine that the local steel companies actually function properly. What is your take? Let us know. Let me know, so that, because we need to take actions. We can't continue complaining without taking actions. And these actions do not necessarily have to do with just protesting and all that. We need to take strategic steps, strategic action. So we are making requests that will unite Nigerians and not divide Nigerians. These are the things that we should be looking at. As usual, let me know your thoughts so that we can come together and do these things. And don't forget, we still need to solve the problem of food for all Nigerians. This is critical. Nigerians will not be able to think straight. These politicians will continue to weaponize hunger and poverty if we are not the ones, if Nigeria, the government, is not the ones providing this food for them. If we leave it to these politicians to continue to do like they are doing, where we have politicians like Tinubu providing small food, and some politicians everywhere else, the likes of them, Saraki them, providing food for people, the Nigerian citizens will keep looking up to them. But if we institutionalize it, if we make it an institution thing, that it is government that is providing this food, then we will no longer be leaving the weaponization of poverty to these greedy politicians. So you need to sign up, because we need to come up with that law that makes government solely responsible for providing for indigent women, children, and even young people that are without jobs in Nigeria. Social welfare and food stamp law, we need to enact it. And so we need your volunteer. Sign up with the link, and then let's move Nigeria to the next level. A new Nigeria is possible, but we have work to do. Do yours.
All right, looking at it from this onset, from my own perspective of what you've just seen, I believe Nigeria, we need to rise up and let all of us put eyes on the government, because we are the main body of the government. We are the one that make the government. We are the one that elect. We are the one that vote them in. So let's put all eyes on them. Dangote, you try. Congratulations. Thank you once again for making our country proud. But make una know is and they still our money. Make una know is and pack our Nigerian resources. So I don't talk my mouth and I don't close mouth. Una bye. Ìgbó ló bẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ́wọ́, ọmọ ní ìfowóṣe ni, ọmọ ní ìfowóṣe ni.